Hello and welcome to Just Jets episode number 182. What is going on? My name is Matt O'Leary, and I'll be hanging out with you as we are here for another episode to discuss New York Jets football. And what I want to get into today, I want to talk about the Jets running back room and how that will look after the Dalvin Cook addition and Breece Hall coming back. Good news there. And I want to get into the offensive line because it was a tough day for the New York Jets offensive line yesterday at training camp. We will talk about the best five for the New York Jets, who that will be, and what the New York Jets should do there. And of course, your voicemails. But before we get into it, yes, football season is approaching, but it's still beach season. August still counts as beach season, people. So make sure to unleash the beach beast within you this summer with Manscaped, as they're here to help with your beach game with their new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. They're going past the waist-deep grooming game and diving headfirst into your facial hair fantasies. The Beard Hedger, is a game changer, allowing you to shape your beard like a true beach babe. So this summer, let those beach boys bounce and let's turn some heads with Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, use my promo code JETS20, that is JETS20, for 20% off and free shipping. Make sure to pick yourself up something nice over at manscaped.com with my promo code. All right, let's hop into this episode once again. A lot to get into today. And the big storyline of the week is it is officially official. It's officially official. Dalvin Cook is a New York Jet. I feel like I've talked about this for months. For a really long time, he was linked to the New York Jets. And the timing was a little bit interesting because this week, I would have said, was probably the last week anything could happen. And for a while, it felt like, all right, I think he's going to end up with the Dolphins. And then he visits the Jets. And it's like, all right, it's only a matter of time before he signs with the Jets. And then, you start getting further along in training camp, and they seemed, you would think, far apart on the numbers. And then the running backs have a pretty good game against Carolina. And I'm like, I'm not so sure anymore if they're going to end up signing Dalvin Cook. And then they do add a Dalvin Cook. And that's kind of, again, a big story because he's been linked to the Jets for a while, and now the conversations could begin about, all right, who's the odd man out of that group? And that's what I'm going to try to talk through today, because after the move was made, originally there was a little bit debate of, is it going to be Michael Carter? Is he going to be traded? Are they going to practice squad or cut Bam Knight? What's going to happen there? And then some people were team Breece Hall is going to go on the PUP list or going to start the year on IR. He'll miss the first 4 games, and then you go from there. And, I understood that, but for all along, the Jets were very, very clear that their intention was for Breece Hall to come back and be ready to go for week 1. And that plan became more official, at least in my eyes, as yesterday, Breece Hall was activated off the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list. He was able to join the New York Jets at practice in a limited capacity. He's not going to be running out there just yet, and that doesn't mean they're not going to continue to bring him on slowly. But some assume that the addition of Dalvin Cook meant Breece Hall definitely not going to be able to start the season with the Jets, which is not going to be the case. And also worth noting that, yes, the Jets signed Dalvin Cook, but Dalvin Cook also is about a week out from being able to practice with the Jets because, number one, he's expecting a child, so congratulations to him. And number two, he's still recovering from shoulder surgery. So he is still recovering from the shoulder. So that may end up taking a little bit there. But the moral of the story is the Jets are going to have a difficult decision to make. So let's talk through how this running back room could shake out. To me, there's 5 guys seriously competing for it, all due respect to Travis Dye, who I think had some nice moments in the Panthers game and some nice moments in the preseason and just training camp in general. But Breece, Dalvin, Izzy, Michael Carter, and Bam Knight are the 5. And of those 5 guys, 3 are absolute locks. Dalvin Cook, Breece Hall, Izzy Abanikanda. Now, the reason why Izzy is a lock is because they just used a draft pick on him this year. It would be so strange to use a pick on a player and then try to practice squad him, and then more than likely he would get claimed by another team. I would find it extremely, extremely surprising if the New York Jets tried to sneak him on the practice squad, because I think he is getting claimed. So those three are the ones who are definites. Now let's talk through the other two options, because you see a legitimate debate, and I think you could make a case for either one of those guys, but let's talk through it. So Michael Carter, right? He was drafted by the New York Jets in the 4th round in 2021. He had a really nice, impressive rookie season. He was kind of the leader of the clubhouse in that running back room. The Jets, not that they had necessarily had this super impressive running back room at the time, but he, was looked at as, okay, even if he's not a true number one, he could be a 1B or a nice piece of the rotation. And then last year, I don't know if it was injuries, I don't know if it was a sophomore slump, I don't know what it was, but he did not look like the same player. And there were some thoughts by fans and people who cover the team that maybe Michael Carter is a trade away target. And the Jets, I don't think, would straight out, flat out cut Michael Carter if they choose that he is the odd man out and they would rather keep Bam Knight. I think you would be able to get a day 3 pick for him. You flip him for a 5th or 6th round pick probably, and you're keeping Bam Knight at that point. But we saw a very good version of Michael Carter in the Jets preseason game against the Carolina Panthers, where he looked like the guy that we all saw in his rookie year, where he was very involved in the passing attack, which Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers loves getting. They love to get the running backs involved in both the passing and just the offense in general. And he was elusive and made guys miss. That's what made him so efficient and effective as a rookie running back. He's not someone who's going to really blow you away with his breakaway speed, but he's an elusive back and will make people miss and get some extra yards that way. He's hard to tackle in that sense, usually making the first guy miss and picking up an extra couple of yards. So that would be the challenge of moving on from him. Is you saw a productive player in his first season with the team, and then second season not so great, obviously, as we know, but now in year 3 looks closer to the player that we originally saw with the New York Jets. So that would be a challenge. And then there's Bam Knight, who's an undrafted free agent last year, and you'd think, okay, just based on that, okay, easy decision, Bam Knight. And while I probably lean that Bam is going to be the odd man out, it's not that simple, because last year there was, a 3-game stretch where he looked really, really good, was the leader in the clubhouse, and then just forget how the season ended or forget the couple of good games that he had, specifically against the Chicago Bears. But in training camp so far this year, without Breece Hall and before Dalvin Cook got here, Bam Knight looked the best of the group. So how are you going to hold that against the guy when he looked the best and was getting a nice run with the ones for a while there? It's not that simple. It's not as easy as, you put the undrafted guy, you try to put him on the practice squad. And I think that's where they end up going. That would be my guess and my thoughts on this, right now. I've kind of gone back and forth a little bit over the last couple of months on whether I thought it would be Bam or Michael Carter, but with how things are going right now, I would lean that Bam Knight would be the odd man out, and I would think that they try to practice squad him, because Bam was on the practice squad originally for the Jets last year. Then they called him up. He played really well, and he's stuck on the team, because I think if they tried to put him back on the practice squad, he would get claimed. And I do think that there's a chance that he would get claimed. I've seen, some pushback on that as well, saying, well, there's so many other veterans on the market and Bam's a project. I don't know if Bam is really a project running back. I think that on most teams he would be a number 2 or 3 running back, probably closer to a number 3, but an effective player and someone who, look, I'm going to be a little bit bummed if he's gone, or if it ends up being Michael Carter, I'm going to be a little bit bummed about that as well. Those are 2 guys that I like a lot and thought that they would have nice roles here, but the Jets wanted to go with the veteran presence. They ponied up and paid Dalvin Cook up to $8.6 million, which is a nice chunk of change. But with the Aaron Rodgers restructure of the contract, opening up some salary cap space for this year, they have the luxury to do that. And that's what, this addition was. It was luxury. They added, a guy who has a ton of experience, is a Pro Bowler at a position to try to help push this offense forward. And we could, you can get into the debate on whether they should have focused on a playmaker or an offensive lineman, but that's the direction the Jets wanted to go. They have a very young running back room, and they view the veteran presence of Dalvin Cook as an effective one. They think it's worth that. So the Jets add Dalvin Cook, and we'll see. We'll keep a close eye over the next few weeks on how the rest of this running back room shakes out. But that kind of became the next thought, is finally like the thought of Dalvin Cook coming on the team. Okay, we've been thinking about that for a few months. Breece Hall, getting activated the very next day. That's the story, and that's cool. But now, like, the next step is figuring out which one is not going to make it, which one of the guys is on his way out, is the one on his way out. So it'll be very curious to see. Now, something else I wanted to get into before we get into the voicemails, a lot of voicemails this week. I'm really excited to get into that, is the New York Jets offensive line. Because yesterday at training camp, they really, really, really struggled. They had a really bad day. And also some not great news. Elijah Vera Tucker did not practice and is day-to-day. Now, day-to-day, thankfully, is not anything of major panic at this point, as you're just a little less than a month away from your season starting. It's not quite a month, but it's, you're still a few weeks away from that season starting, so you're not hitting the panic button there. But without AVT, who is without question the Jets' best offensive lineman, that line yesterday was not pretty. And no Dwayne Brown either at this point. It was Max Mitchell at left tackle, who got banged up and had to leave for a little bit. He was grabbing his back when he went down. And Mekhi Becton actually came in and got some first-team reps finally, which was exciting to see, because I think he's earned that. I think it's, he played significantly more snaps against the Carolina Panthers and has put together some really nice practices. So that I'm excited about. But Laken Tomlinson was beat a couple of times. Billy Turner at right tackle has continued to get beat again. I really hope that Billy Turner is not the plan for the starting right tackle on opening day. That worries me, because I think if he's your fourth tackle on your depth chart, fine, which was originally what I thought he was signed to be. And I thought that was going to be his role, but with no Dwayne Brown and Mekhi Becton not taking any snaps on the right side, I think he has a very real chance to be that starting right tackle, unless they move AVT out to tackle, which is something that I'm not opposed to, but they have to start getting him snaps there, because he's only played at guard. But Joe Tippmann took a step up and got snaps with the ones, which is exciting. He went from the third string to the first string in a matter of 2 weeks, which is impressive, but he put back-to-back really, really nice games on tape and has had stacked really good practices. Going forward now, Robert Saleh said yesterday that the New York Jets will split reps between Connor McGovern and Joe Tippmann in this competition. So it shows you that, Tippmann's closing the gap, which is, expected. He's an extremely talented guy. There's a reason why he went in the second round. But I'd be lying to you if I, didn't mention that I'm a little bit nervous about this offensive line. I have been for the entirety of the offseason. I can't count how many times I said this will be the thing that makes or breaks the New York Jets season. But I think the best case scenario for how they could get this thing to shake out is eventually, we've heard Robert Saleh say that eventually Dwayne Brown is going to make his way back. So Dwayne Brown at left tackle, Tomlinson at left guard, Tippmann at center, either Connor McGovern or Schweitzer, one of those two guys at right guard, and AVT at right tackle, I think would be a way to mitigate some of the potential problems that the Jets offensive line could have. And I know that there's going to be people who say, well, Mekhi Becton, like he should be one of the starting tackles. And I don't necessarily disagree with that idea, but he hasn't taken any reps at right tackle yet. None. He's been exclusively on the left side. And if the Jets view him exclusively on that side, for whatever reason it may be, whether it be Mackay saying it or the team or organizationally, that's just the stance on it that they want to take, well, then he's not going to just out of nowhere, after not practicing it all training camp long, be the opening day right tackle starter. If that's what they wanted to do, they better start doing that now, like immediately, like yesterday. Like you can't just wake up one day on September 11th and Robert Saleh go, you know what? That Mackay Becton kid, he's had a pretty good training camp. We're going to plug him in at right tackle on opening night. It doesn't work that way. You got to build up, the chemistry on it, and just for one, the individual, but also the unit itself, which is another thing. We're getting a little bit closer now. Ideally, Robert Saleh thought that he would have the offensive line figured out by the Panthers game, but this line is going to have to get some chemistry and get it quick, because it's rotating right now. It's not, they haven't gotten the reps together. It's every day is a different jumble. And I get it. There's competition and there's got, like, Dwayne Brown hasn't practiced yet, but I want these guys back, and I want whatever it is that they decide to do, right? Whether it's AVT at guard or tackle, or whether it's Billy Turner or Max Mitchell, and we can get into those mini debates on who should end up where and what they're going to do. But can we get a couple of weeks of what the actual starting five offensive line is going to be and get them practicing together? Because they need the reps together. Like, chemistry is such an important part on offensive lines. That's another thing I was talking about with the individual, with Mackay Becton, being like, you wake up and go, okay, yeah, he's going to play right side today. Well, if he hasn't practiced it all off season, that may be an issue. It might just be a little bit of a problem. But also, it's very hard to say, all right, we're going to play, Tetris here with the offensive line. We're going to do a little mix and match and just put it out there and hope it works. On Monday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills. That's a lot easier said than done. I'm a little bit worried about it. I'm a little bit worried. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, they're going to bottom out. They're going to be a terrible team. No, I don't think that's the case at all. But your goal is to win a Super Bowl. Right? That's the goal of this team, win the division. The thing that might, again, keyword might, not definite, not will, but may hold this team back, I think, is the offensive line. To me, that is the glaring thing where I'm like, all right, if there's going to be a problem on this team, I think that's the spot. I hope it's not the case. I hope they start clicking soon, but it was a tough practice on Tuesday, and hopefully that's not the case the rest of the week and the rest of the season, because that would be a real shame. Let's get into those voicemails. We have a ton of voicemails to get into, which makes me very, very happy. I love going through and doing the voicemails. We're going to start out with John calling in from the Poconos. He wants to talk opening night. All right, cool. Let's do it.
Hello, Matt. This is John White. I'm in the Poconos. My best buddy just screwed me, so I have an extra ticket to the home opener on Monday night at Tailgate Joe's, and I'm looking to, take somebody else to the game with me. So if you know somebody that could use a ticket, or even you or somebody, whatever, it's a lower end zone, and you get the tailgate, and so I'm looking for somebody to go to the game with. So, all right, let me know if you know anybody that wants to go. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah, so this is what we'll do. This is why I wanted to play the call. If you want to go, down below in the comments on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, put it in the comments. Say, John from the Poconos, I want in. And John, what I'll ask you to do is go to the comments section, and we'll try to get it to link up. We'll try to get you guys linked up in the comments there. So sorry your buddy couldn't make it, and it's we'll see if they're able to get somebody else in their spot. But opening night should be a lot of fun. I'm going to be covering it from here. I'm not going to make it out. I'm going to the Jets-Chargers game this year on Monday Night Football. We're doing a group outing with the Talking Jets guys. Tickets are available on talkingjets.com if you want to join us. You get a ticket, a tailgate experience with Tailgate Joe as well, as you mentioned, that we'll be doing the same thing. So a ticket, Tailgate Joe, and an on-field experience before the game. And we'll all be there hanging out. So it'll be a lot of fun. If you're interested in that, talkingjets.com. Next up, we're going to go to the main Jet calling in. He has some thoughts on the offensive line.
Hi, Matt. This is Main Jet, and I just wanted to call in and give you a couple of my thoughts in regards to the offensive line after the first preseason game. And first of all, what I thought going into it was that the situation with the offensive line was becoming untenable. It was getting to the point where, we just weren't seeing enough out of the tackles, and if we couldn't elevate Mekhi Becton, okay, and we couldn't, see a little more excitement, out of it, at least be able to elevate him up to the playing with the ones or something like that, that we were going to have to get another tackle or guard. Now, I think they may do that anyway because they do have $35 million extra to talk about. But with that said, I was very encouraged by how Becton played. I thought that Tippmann was blowing people off the ball. And as far as I'm concerned, I think both Becton and Tippmann are due for promotions. I think that Becton should be playing with the ones as of after this game. He should be elevated up to it. I don't know where they're going to put him. Whether they're going to put him on right tackle or left tackle, who knows. But Tippmann needs to be elevated at least to the twos. I think he was playing with the threes. He needs to be playing with the twos, maybe even the ones, because he is fantastically athletic. And, all in all, I think the Jets were just better in every single way than the Carolina Panthers. And they were more prepared. They were a little more physical. They just had a lot more athletic ability. And right now, I'm looking at this Jets team, and I am so uber excited right now because, as far as I'm concerned, this is the most deep roster I have ever seen the Jets have before, and I'll take your thoughts on that. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Yeah, absolutely. So I agree. This team is really, really deep, and I'm very excited about that. And you mentioned the offensive line. So a couple of thoughts there. With Joe Tippmann, him being elevated really to the twos as of, I believe it was early last week. They moved Wes Schweitzer, who was really center two. They moved him over to guard, and he's playing more guard. But what I love from, we found out at practice yesterday that they are going to mix him in with the ones. Tippmann's ceiling and athleticism is so exciting. And the thought of, Aaron Rodgers, he might not want to work with the rookie center. And I understand that a little bit to an extent, but it's not the end of the world that some people think it is. I think he would work with the rookie center if he sees that he's the best guy out there. And he's put a lot of really good things on tape through the 2 preseason games and through a ton of practices. And maybe he doesn't end up winning the job right away, but I don't think it'd be long before he's pushing for that starting spot. With all due respect to Connor McGovern, who's an okay starting center, like, let's call it what it is. He would start on probably half the teams in the league, maybe a little less than that. But overall, I am all in on getting Tippmann the reps because I think he could be a special player. Mekhi, I wish they would give him reps at right tackle. I really do. For whatever reason, the Jets won't. They won't do it. It feels like that they will refuse to do it, and they view him almost exclusively on that left side. I think it's a mistake because Dwayne Brown is going to return, and he's going to play over there. And I would like Becton to have the flexibility to either play on either side. Yes, technically he does because he has done it, but he hasn't really played games in 2 years, and he's done exclusively left tackle. I would like to get him some work on the right-hand side if they think he's a serious candidate for that spot. But this tells me they don't view him as a serious candidate for that spot. Again, I don't know if that's the right decision, but I think that's just how it is. But you're right. This is an incredibly deep football team, an incredibly deep New York Jets team, and I am excited to watch them get after it in 2023. That's for damn sure. Good call on the offensive line and elevating those guys. I agree with both of those thoughts. Let's go to PG on Long Island. He wants to talk about guys potentially getting scooped off the practice squad and off waivers.
Hello, Matt. This is PG from Long Island. Quick question here. Last year, the Jets had the most players picked up off waivers in the league. Again, this year they have a very deep team, it seems. My question is, knowing that these guys are going to hit the waiver wire if they get released, how valuable are they in the trade market? So Jets seeing, Bryce Hall, maybe a cornerback, maybe one of the running backs, maybe one of that deep defensive line. What can you expect from them? Is it nothing more than a additional 6th-round pick, or is there an opportunity to trade some of these players for a more substantial draft pick? Anyway, looking to see your thoughts on that. And as always, go Jets.
Yeah, that's a really good question because, unfortunately, I keep bringing up this example, but it's a good one, and it's because it's in recent history and recent memory with last year. But the New York Jets decided to let Jason Pinnock go. He was someone that they used a first round pick, day 3 pick on. Could you imagine? They let him go after using a first round pick on him. They used the day 3 pick on Jason Pinnock in 2021. He didn't play a whole lot on that team in a limited role, but the plan was to convert him to safety. And they started to do that a little bit in training camp last year, and it was good. It was working for a little bit, and the Jets got cute. I would call it like it is. I think they tried to get cute and put him on the practice squad. Their intention was to bring him back, and he got claimed. The Giants claimed him, and guess what? He's playing significant snaps in a playoff game, which is crazy. But sometimes this stuff happens. I think if you're going to trade anyone with any sort of trade value, Michael Carter, who I think would be a 5th or a 6th round pick, probably a 6th. Bryce Hall, maybe. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else who you could get draft picks for. I would think no, but I also, there's been other guys the Jets have had on their roster that I didn't think they were getting picks for. Was it Jordan Willis? Blake Cashman? You never know with Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas, more so Joe Douglas. You never can tell. I would think those would be the 2 guys, though, in Carter and Bryce Hall, who can maybe fetch you something. Bam Knight, I don't know if anyone would put a claim in on Bam a trade in, because the reason why is because I think they would put a claim in on him if that was the case, because they know that the Jets have an overload of running backs. So if no one bites on him, then you're going to be able to just pick him up. Although if you're a little bit further down the line in the waiver wire, maybe I just talked myself out of it. Maybe you can get a 6th or 7th for Bam Knight. I would put that as a small likelihood. I would think you'd be able to get more for Michael Carter in a trade and Bryce Huff, but I don't think you're getting anything more than a 6th, something around that for both those guys. But I like where your head's at. I like the thought process behind that because, you don't want to lose out on these guys for nothing. Let's do James in New Jersey wants to talk about some of the roster gymnastics.
Yo, what's up, Matt? This is James from Brick, New Jersey. Wanted to talk some roster gymnastics with you. This was just something that came to my mind. Not that I think this is something the Jets would actually do, but I was kind of thinking, so I feel like it's either going to come to, at the end of the day, keeping a fullback in Nick Bawden or keeping a 4th tight end in a guy like Zach Kuntz, the rookie, who obviously has, standout athletic ability. And so I was wondering if there's a chance, just wanted to get your opinion. What if instead of keeping a 4th tight end, instead of that, I was thinking they would only do maybe 5 receivers Kuntz and keep Bawden, because I feel like Zach Kuntz is a guy who could almost serve as a wide receiver just because of his frame. He's like, the guy's like Megatron if you look at him. So, yeah, just wanted to get your opinions on that. Always love watching your show, Matt.
Thank you.
Finally got the chance to call in. So, thanks again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for watching, and please call back. Love having you on the show. Love when you guys call in and interact. That's what makes it so fun. I love, it's a challenge sometimes in the off season to, can put out content every single day. But when, like in the season during the games, I love when there's so many voicemails and we do like an hour-long show and really get the interaction going. It's a lot of fun. So I appreciate you calling and checking in, but I think you're bringing up a really good point with Kuntz, because a couple of reasons. Number one, as you mentioned, Bawden's going to make this roster. The Nathaniel Hackett, Aaron Rodgers, there's just both of them. Too many signs point to them loving a fullback in the offense. And I know, like, my dad is going to be so happy because he is a smash mouth football guy. Always loves when teams use the fullback, like loves watching the 49ers and the Ravens offense because they will still utilize the fullback, or even like the Packers when they had like John Kuhn, they were still using the fullback, but really, really loves that. And I get it. I totally get it. And I think in this offense, it works. It makes sense for what they're trying to do, but that's an underrated point because most people are assuming that the Jets will keep 6 receivers and that the 6th receiver would be one of Brownlee, Malik Taylor, or Xavier Gibson, I believe. But what if they keep 5, and in order to keep that 4th tight end, which would be Kuntz, they essentially use him as a wide receiver, which he kind of is at this point. He's not really like an inline tight end who can block. Like Jeremy Ruckert coming out, you knew that he could like play the position, block, do all that stuff. Where Kuntz is a project. You love the athleticism that he has and that he can make plays, and really maybe he could be, a creative player who gets a couple of touches in the red zone or like a couple of design plays over the course of the season. I'm not saying a regular this year, but if they view him as a potential long-term project, it might make sense to try to keep him, because that's another guy who, yes, you used I think it was a 7th round pick on him, but there's a lot of really crappy rosters in the NFL. I think someone would take a shot on claiming him. I don't know that it's going to be a lock that you'll be able to waive him and get him on your practice squad. You might lose him if you do that. So that would be a good way in order to ensure that he sticks. So I like that. That's pretty smart. Let's go, Travis. Travis, my friend. How are you? Travis from Ohio.
Hey, Matt.
Yo.
Travis from Ohio. Dalvin freaking Cook. Love it. Best running back room in the league. Oh. When I called in a couple weeks ago, I said, this is the best Jets roster I've seen, and I was wrong. And I'm man enough to admit when I was wrong. We didn't have Dalvin Cook yet. I was on the roster. This is the best roster I've ever seen.
That's funny. That's funny.
So, loving it. Hey, I got to check out some Carolina podcasters.
Sure.
Just to see the other side of the tracks, see what they were saying about the Jets, and they were really hyping up their O-line. They thought that was a strength coming into the year. And the couple guys I listened to, they were like, the O-line still might be all right, but the Jets D-line might be the best D-line in football, and that was going against our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th stringers. So that got me pretty excited.
Yep.
And if our offense is going against those guys, yeah, they might be beating them up, but that whole iron sharpens iron thing. No, and they looked a lot better against other teams out there, and that's without Rodgers, behind center. So, and I know our O-line is still getting shifted around, and they keep saying they're going to play their 5 best. So, we'll see. But anyway, Dalvin Cook's a Jet. Today's a good day. And this isn't Matt Forte. This isn't Le'Veon Bell. Dalvin Cook's still in his prime. He had a kind of down year last year, but dude's still in his prime. They're still treading on no tires. Not like Bell or Matt Forte. So, anyway, love you, buddy. Go Jets. Bye.
I love it. Thank you so much. Love hearing your voice, Travis. Hope you're doing well. I really hope that he is this team's LaDainian Tomlinson. That is my hope for what Dalvin Cook gives the Jets. In 2010, he went for 914 yards and 6 touchdowns. He also added 368 yards and no receiving touchdowns. Although I believe he may have, he definitely had a receiving touchdown in the playoffs against New England that year, and he had a couple of clutch touchdowns in the playoffs. He had one against the Colts that year as well. So yeah, I mean, that's what really you hope he is. You hope it's not, Matt Forte in 2016-17 running in quicksand. That was really rough. Oof. Or you hope that it's not Chris Johnson in 2014 when he was pretty much cooked at that point. Or who else? There's some other good ones. You mentioned Le'Veon Bell, Frank Gore at the end of it. He's not quite as old as Frank Gore, but you hope that there's still a little bit left in the tank there, and that he eases Breece Hall back into this thing. That's the goal. Is you want to make sure that Breece is fully healthy and ready to go in December and beyond. So yeah, that's cool. I hope that's what is the case with the addition of Dalvin Cook. We got one more. We're gonna close out with Joe calling in from Long Island. He wants to talk about Dalvin. All right, let's do it.
Hey Matt. Joe from Long Island. My parents were from Queens. I'm
Nice.
out in Phoenix now, so I know it's kind of a late call. I hope I didn't wake you up. I watched the Super Bowl game with my dad on the couch with Joe Namath. My feet, my legs didn't go over the couch.
You're young, I'm guessing.
But I love your content. I love you guys. I love that there is this new format of information and the no bullshit stuff.
Thank you.
And so I like Richie and Brian and Green Bean and the guy who never says his name. Anyway, and also the Buffalo guy, etc. But you're my semi guy. You deliver content in a very digestible way for me, and I really appreciate that. Love you, man.
Thank you.
Here's my question: does Dalvin Cook make the offensive line better? That's it. Love you, man. Keep it going, man. And as always, go Jets. 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 Let's go, man.
Woo! I love it. I love the enthusiasm there with the Jets. My dad's from Queens as well originally before moving out to Long Island. So love the Queens connection. I have love for Queens. So many trips to Shea Stadium as a kid, now Citi Field, and my dad grew up there, so I always appreciate that borough. As for, and also too, before we get into your question, I do appreciate the kind words there, and I love our Jets content creator community that we have. There's so many really good creators out there, and you're right, like in today's world, you have the ability to watch content on your favorite team, like on demand, pretty much with YouTube or in podcast form. Back in the day, it was, you had ESPN or Sports Talk Radio, and like that's cool. But maybe you're just someone who's hyper focused on the Jets, and now you have this avenue of people putting out Jets video that you could watch on your TV or computer or phone every single day. It's awesome. I love that I get to do this. Seriously, like yesterday with the Breece Hall. When you got the news that Breece Hall was coming back and that he was activated off the PUP list, like that rush to go, like get that video up immediately as the news comes out, like there's nothing like that. It's so much fun. I love getting to do this every day. As far as does Dalvin make the offensive line better, I don't necessarily, excuse me, I don't necessarily think so. I think offensive lines could make running backs better, but I think it's hard for running backs to make offensive lines better. And a big criticism of the Jets signing Le'Veon Bell in 2019 was that their offensive line was nowhere close to being ready for a player like that. And I admittedly made the mistake of saying, well, I think Le'Veon's good enough where he can mitigate that. And he's such a weapon out of, catching the ball. And I just don't think part of it was Adam Gase didn't use him right. Part of it was he was kind of done. And another part was that the offensive line wasn't good enough. It's kind of a culmination of all those things. But for Dalvin, no, I don't think Dalvin will. I don't think Breece Hall makes it better. I think they all benefit from their offensive line. But I don't. It's very challenging for a running back to make a bad offensive line look good. I mean, look at Saquon Barkley. He's a great running back. But when they had a couple really bad offensive lines, he didn't do that great. Last year, offensive line improved. Andrew Thomas, now one of the best tackles in football, and he looked back like his college and rookie self. So I don't think he makes the offensive line better. What I think he does is add an insurance policy to Breece Hall and adds a veteran that they trust because they had a very young running back room. I like the youth. I would have been comfortable rolling with the youth, but the Jets felt that they wanted a veteran there, someone who's been there and done it, and that's exactly what Dalvin Cook's done. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. This is another episode of Just Jets. If you can, please leave a like if you're watching on YouTube, comment, share with a friend. That really helps a lot. I appreciate all the love and support. If you're listening in the audio form, leave a review, leave a comment. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll catch you next time.